Welcome back. We've got a big group with us today in studio, and I'm going to start over here in our election center with the professors today. Dr. Laura Wilson from UIndy and Dr. Martin Sweet from Purdue University. As we look at some of the polling numbers here in the race for president, including our poll with Emerson College this September, which showed former President Trump ahead here in Indiana by double digits. And Martin, you think perhaps, again, we will be that first state called on the board Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, Indiana and Kentucky should go very early. Polls close early. Both do have double time zone stuff, so there's a little pause, but both states expected to be solidly Republican.
But Laura, when you look at some of the polling in the swing states that we'll show you here from this past month, it's really been very, very close. Let's go ahead and look at those now. You can see that a number of those states have just been within about a point or two when you look at Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. It's all coming down to those states. And all of those races, the polls have shown, it could be very, very close on Tuesday night.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like when we talk about the polls, we emphasize margin of error, but when you're talking about the 7 swing states, it's all about margin of error. Now, maybe in Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, those might be leaning red, but then you still have the blue wall states. And if you're talking about Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, those
could come down to that.
They are, and they have a lot more electoral college votes. So you're talking about how important those 3 states are, in addition to the sum of the 7. It is all margin of error at this point.
So with this election being so close, you look at some of the numbers about people's anxieties about this election. We have that here. Do you have anxiety about the upcoming election? A recent Associated Press poll, nearly 70% of people said they do, Martin. That says a lot.
It does. And listen, it's not without reason, right? There are people who feel their rights are under assault, or there are people who don't feel safe going to a restaurant. So it really varies on both sides about how they're feeling, and I don't think they're totally wrong about that.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to walk over here now to talk with the rest of our panel who's here with us today. With us in studio, we have former Democratic State Party Chair Robin Winston, Vice Chair of the Indiana Trump campaign in 2016, Tony Samuel, and 2 former state lawmakers for the Democrats, Terry Austin, and for the Republicans, Mike Murphy. Terry, what do you make of those numbers that we were just looking at, how concerned people are about this election this year, and what's going to be motivating their decision to get out and vote, do you think?
Well, I think for women, one of the major issues is going to be reproductive rights and health care. For men, you know, it could be economic issues. It could be some of the other things that have been talked about in the debates. But I think people are really motivated. I was just looking at our own home numbers, and women at this point in Madison County have outvoted men by about 2,000 votes.
And we'll see how
10%.
That plays out around the nation,
Yeah.
Obviously with that big gender gap this year. Mike, immigration has also been a big issue. We've seen that here in the state of Indiana with people talking about what is or perhaps isn't happening in Logansport. That's been a real hot button issue this year.
It's just like Springfield, Ohio. It's most of it's made up by the MAGA people. Ethan Manning, who's a great state rep from Logansport, came out this week and said, you know, we've been having influx of immigrants for 30 years. It's nothing we can't handle. It's nothing we haven't handled. We're doing fine. Leave us alone, all you East Coasters.
Tony, let's talk here as well about the race for president this past week. The comedian at the Trump event calling Puerto Rico garbage, some backlash to that, backlash to President Biden's remarks this week, which he later clarified. What do you make of all of this contentiousness, and does that really move the needle with anybody at this point?
Oh, it might make a difference to some of the folks that are still undecided. There's a few of them, I guess, out there, so they might be looking for one thing or another. You know, Mark Cuban said something really stupid, attacking Republican women. Joe Biden attacked all of us, called us all garbage. So that has an effect on folks that are watching, and just the few, I guess, that are out there that haven't made up their mind. But go back to your question on, you know, what's the final kind of, you know, what's everybody looking at? It's the economy. It's the economy and safety, and people trust Donald Trump because of what he did in his 4 years over those issues.
Robin, what's your view on all of this from across the aisle as we head to Tuesday night?
Well, we just kind of whitewashed what Donald Trump has said for literally about 5 years, even longer, 4 years during his term as president, saying just this past week that Liz Cheney should have rifles pointed at her because he disagrees with her, because she is, of course, endorsing us. The rhetoric has gone nuclear, and it needs to slow down. People right now, over 1 million in Indiana, have already voted. the remaining 2 million of you all out there that could still vote probably can make up your mind about the future of our nation and the kind of leadership we have. As it relates to the garbage comment, he never got up and said it was wrong. He never apologized for it. And when you're in a state like Pennsylvania, where there are 430,000 registered Puerto Rican voters in that state, that is going to make a difference in some of these battleground states.
We'll see how that plays out on Tuesday night. Mike, this week, Mike Braun held a teleconference with former President Trump, who again voiced his support for Senator Braun. What do you make of the Braun campaign leaning on the former president here in the final days right ahead of election day?
It's kind of a no-brainer whether he's a little bit nervous, like all candidates are at this point, or whether it's just something that Trump has offered for months and said, hey, if you ever need me to do one of these things, I'd be glad to do it. Again, Trump or Braun wins, maybe not as much as he would like to, but as I said before, Pence won by 2.9%, and a win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter.
We'll look at some of those polling numbers coming up. Terry, what's your view on all of that from across the aisle? And speaking of surrogates, how impactful is it for Jennifer McCormick to be on the campaign trail this weekend with Kentucky's governor?
Well, let me answer the first part of your question. I think that Braun pulling up the Trump endorsement at this point isn't going to move the needle a whole lot for him. That did not work well for him in the primary and convention, or at least during the convention, if you remember how that went. As far as Jennifer McCormick being on the trail with Andy Beshear, Andy is not just a beloved governor down there. He's respected in Indiana because of his strong business ties in the southern part of the state. He's a moderate. He's done a wonderful job there, and I think, you know, she's got to need some support in the South, and Terry Gooden provides a lot. Anything she can get from Andy Beshear is icing on the cake.
Beshear was on that VP shortlist this year too. Tony, what's going to make the biggest difference in this race for governor on Tuesday night?
The issues that Mike Braun is talking about, they're pocketbook issues. They're issues that affect everyday lives. They're the economy, education, driving down healthcare costs, and also energy costs. Him and President Trump are both talking about energy costs, and that's going to make a big difference to Hoosiers' pocketbooks.
Robin, what's your response to that, and what impact do you think these recent debates will have in the race for governor and in the race for Senate? This past week, we really saw 2 of the 3 candidates on the debate stage.
Well, the missing link in this is Donald Rainwater. I mean, you know, he got Mike Braun's attention because they started mailing negative mail about Rainwater. You don't do that if you feel you have a comfortable lead. As it relates to enlisting Trump at the last minute, I think it's to bolster his Republican base. Having Governor Beshear come across the river and be with Jennifer McCormick demonstrates by-state cooperation for our state's future. And I still think the issue that's going to resonate with a lot of people is going to be reproductive rights and health care rights for women in our state.
And we'll see how all of this plays out coming up on Tuesday night. Coming up next, we're going to look at some of those polling numbers in the race for governor, plus a lot of campaign signs and a lot of early voters, about 1 million of them here in Indiana, as we just mentioned. We'll hear from some of those early voters here in the Hoosier State right after this.